Let me ask you something. And don't just hear the question, sit with it. How much of your daily anxiety comes from trying to control things that were never yours to control in the first place? Think about that for a moment. You wake up in the morning and your mind is already busy. The news cycle hits you. War, politics, another disaster halfway across the world. You check your email, unread messages, demands, pressure. Then your social media feed. Someone else is winning, while you feel like you're falling behind. And somewhere in the background, there's the weather, the traffic, your boss's mood, your partner's tone, your friend's silence, your bank account, your weight, your future. So many things all at once, and your brain is trying to juggle them all. But here's the reality. Most of those things aren't in your hands. The truth is, life constantly throws us curveballs. We spend so much time mentally trying to steer a ship that we're not even captaining. And when we realize we can't force the wind to blow a certain way, we panic, we try harder, we grip tighter, we fight reality, and we suffer. But Marcus Aurelius faced more uncertainty, more loss, and more pressure than most of us ever will. He was the emperor of Rome during a time of war, plague, betrayal, even the death of children. And somehow he found peace. He didn't find it in power. He didn't find it in control over his empire. He found it inside himself. He wrote those words, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." And they weren't meant to be poetic. They were practical, a lifeline, a battle-tested truth he repeated to himself when life became unbearable. He couldn't control the wars, but he could control how he led through them. He couldn't prevent death, but he could choose how to grieve with dignity. He couldn't escape pain, but he could choose not to let it define him. That's the message I want to offer you today. Not control over life, but freedom from needing it. Because the moment you stop trying to micromanage the world is the moment you start managing your mind. And that changes everything. So let's walk through this idea together. Let's talk about control, where it actually lives, and what letting go really means. And as we go, I want you to hold one question close. What would I feel like if I released everything that was never mine to carry? Chapter 2. The illusion of control. Here's something wild to consider. Every day, without even thinking about it, we try to manage things that are absolutely outside of our control. It's like trying to hold water in your bare hands, frustrating, exhausting, and impossible. We try to control how people perceive us. We try to control how fast success comes. We try to control the past, as if enough guilt or replaying it in our mind can rewrite it. We even try to control the future, as if worrying is a down payment on safety. But none of that ever works. And the worst part? It robs us of the only thing we can influence. This moment. Right now. The Stoics called this out thousands of years ago. They separated life into two buckets. What is within your control? What is not? That's it. That's the whole game. And yet, most of us live with those reversed. We neglect the thoughts we allow, the values we stand on, the actions we take. But we obsess over how others feel, what they say, what goes viral, what gets approval, what happens out there. And it's killing our peace. It's not that those things don't matter. It's that they don't belong to us. You can't own what was never yours, and trying to only invites pain. Let's play this out. You give a presentation at work. You stay up late preparing. You speak clearly. You do your best. And afterward, someone criticizes you. They didn't like your tone. They expected something different. They shrugged it off. You're crushed. But pause for a second. Was your intention clear? Did you prepare? Did you act with excellence? Then what else can you control? Their opinion? Number their expectations? Number their own unresolved issues? Definitely not. The Stoics would say, you did your part. That's your piece. Everything else? Noise. But we don't want to let go. Because letting go feels like losing, like we're surrendering power. But here's the paradox. Gripping harder is what's draining your power. When you try to control every outcome, you give away your energy to things that don't serve you. And over time, that becomes resentment, exhaustion, even burnout. Control is a beautiful illusion, but that's all it is, an illusion. So the question isn't, how can I control more? It's, what would happen if I stopped trying to control what isn't mine and finally took responsibility for what is? What if, just for today, you stopped trying to manage other people's thoughts and reactions and started managing your own peace? What if you released the pressure to be understood and just focused on being honest? What if you gave yourself permission to show up, not perfectly, but truthfully, and let the chips fall where they may? You might just find you're a lot lighter than you thought, and the world, it keeps spinning, whether you worry or not. Chapter 3. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. Now let's clear up a common misconception. When people hear letting go, they think it means giving up, quitting, walking away. But that's not Stoicism. Stoicism isn't passive. It's not lazy. It's not about shrugging and saying, whatever happens, happens. It's the opposite. It's showing up fully, doing the work, putting in the reps, committing to excellence, and then releasing the need for the world to reward you in the way you expect. That's what Marcus Aurelius did. That's what Epictetus preached. That's what real strength looks like. Because letting go isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's knowing where your job ends and life begins. Letting go is not about abandoning responsibility. It's about stopping the fight with reality. It's about accepting that you don't need to manipulate outcomes to prove your worth. Picture a martial artist, relaxed but alert, not tense, not bracing, just grounded, present, ready. That's the posture of someone who's let go of control, but not of presence. The Stoics called this living according to nature. That means understanding your role, to act, to choose, to live with integrity. That's it. You can't guarantee someone will love you back. You can't guarantee the business will succeed. You can't guarantee the audience will applaud. But you can write the best sentence. You can make the honest call. You can offer the kind word. You can train. You can try. You can choose. That's what you own. Everything else, that's wind. So when things fall apart, relationships, plans, expectations, it's not a sign that you failed. It's just proof that you're human and that life is alive. Letting go is trusting that you can respond with virtue, even when life doesn't go according to your script. Letting go is saying, I will not sacrifice my peace at the altar of things I can't control. It's walking through uncertainty with an open hand, not a clenched fist, because clenched fists break. But open hands, they build, they give, they receive, they carry what matters. So here's a moment for reflection. Where in your life are you confusing control with care? Where are you gripping something so tightly it's turning to dust in your hands? What would it feel like to let go? Not to lose, but to breathe again. The people who are most grounded aren't the ones controlling everything. They're the ones who've stopped trying to. They know where their power lives, and they stay there. Chapter 4. Modern life and the control trap. Let's be honest. Modern life doesn't make this easy. You live in a world that tells you be more, do more, control more. Manifest it. Crush your goals. Own your destiny. That sounds good on paper until you're burned out, anxious, and still feeling behind. You scroll through Instagram or LinkedIn, and suddenly you feel like you're losing at a race you didn't even know you were running. Everyone's announcing something: a new job, a new body, a new house, a six-figure launch, a wedding, a perfect morning routine at 5 a.m. with an ocean view. And here you are, struggling just to get through the day. And you wonder, what am I doing wrong? Here's the truth: nothing. You're just stuck in the trap. The control trap. It whispers, if I just work harder, I'll catch up. If I plan better, I can predict the future. If I do everything perfectly, I'll be safe. But all of that? It's fear, dressed as productivity. The Stoics saw this coming centuries ago. They knew that humans would always try to find safety and control. But life doesn't work that way. Nature doesn't work that way. You can plant the seed, you can water the soil, you can pull the weeds, but you can't rush the harvest. You can do everything right and still face delays, rejection, setbacks. And that doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're alive. Marcus Aurelius wasn't trying to hack life. He was trying to live it with wisdom and courage, no matter how it unfolded. And that's the shift. You don't hustle for control. You show up with intention. You don't chase perfection. You embody presence. You don't force outcomes. You trust the process. Because when you stop trying to control the timing, you finally get to live the season you're in. So if you're comparing your life to someone else's highlight reel, pause. If you're demanding that things move faster, breathe. If you feel like you're behind, remember, there is no race. Ask yourself, are you trying to control your journey, or are you trying to honor it? Are you obsessed with the outcome or committed to the effort? What would shift in your life if you trusted the timeline and focused on the next right step? Here's what the Stoics would say: show up, do your work, act with virtue, and let go of the rest, because you don't grow by controlling life, you grow by responding to it with courage. Chapter 5. Real-life examples, athletes, creatives, and control. Let's step out of the theory for a moment and into real life. Think about elite athletes, the pressure, the spotlight, the expectations. They train for years for moments that last seconds. One false move, one unexpected injury, one call from a referee, and everything can change. They can't control the crowd. They can't control the weather. They can't even control their opponent's strategy. But what makes the great ones different? They don't try to control everything. They lock into what they can control: their breathing, their focus, their mindset, their effort. They stay grounded in the moment, because if they start worrying about the outcome, they tighten up. They lose rhythm. They get in their own heads. You see this in tennis. You see it in combat sports. You see it on the field, on the track, in the ring. The mental game is everything. Now let's talk about artists and creatives. Painters, musicians, writers, filmmakers, entrepreneurs. They spend months, sometimes years, working on something, crafting it, pouring themselves into it. And when it's finally ready, they release it into the world, with absolutely zero control over what happens next. Will people love it? Will they ignore it? Will it flop? Will it go viral? No one knows. If a creator ties their identity to the outcome, they suffer. If they only feel worthy when people clap, they're prisoners to opinion. But the true artist, the Stoic creative, they focus on the process. They create for the love of the work. They measure success in honesty, in discipline, in courage. Same with you. You may not be an Olympian, you may not be a best-selling author, but every day you release things you've poured yourself into: conversations, decisions, dreams. And every day, life responds how it responds. You can't force results, but you can choose how you show up, and that's enough. So I'll ask you this: where in your life are you expecting guarantees in exchange for effort? Where are you turning beautiful work into a source of pressure because you're clinging to a specific response? And what would happen if you gave your best and let go of the rest? Here's the magic. When you do, you actually do better. You move freely. You think more clearly. You create more honestly. You perform without panic. Because the fear of judgment loses its grip when you stop chasing control. And in that space, excellence can finally breathe. Chapter 6. Marcus's remedy, the inner citadel. Marcus Aurelius often wrote about something he called the inner citadel. Not a place made of stone, not a castle on a hill, but a fortress within the mind, built not for hiding, but for holding your values, your character, your clarity, your calm. He believed that no matter what storm raged outside, betrayal, war, plague, loss, there was a space inside of you that no one else could enter unless you opened the gates. Your inner citadel is the part of you that stays rooted even when the world shakes. It's not about shutting the world out. It's about not letting it break through the walls of your peace. In modern life, we build defenses all the time, but most of them are external. We build routines, we track habits, we install security systems, we micromanage schedules, but we neglect the one fortress that actually matters, the one inside. The Stoics weren't obsessed with controlling the world. They were obsessed with self-mastery, because they knew when you can't trust the weather, you better learn how to build shelter. So how do you build your citadel? You start with clarity. What matters to you, truly? What do you stand for when everything else gets stripped away? Next, you reinforce the walls with values: integrity, patience, honesty, discipline, compassion. Not values that depend on trends, but ones that stand in fire and don't burn. Then, you defend the gate. You don't let every opinion in. You don't let every crisis become your emergency. You don't let every emotion dictate your direction. The world will try to breach your walls with fear, noise, distraction, urgency, but you choose what enters. You decide what gets to stay. And maybe the most important piece, you return to it. Every day, Marcus returned to his citadel in writing. He journaled, he reflected, he reminded himself daily of who he was and what was worth protecting. Because even emperors get tired, even Stoics waver, but they don't collapse, because they know where home is. So ask yourself, what is the foundation of your inner citadel? What kind of thoughts, beliefs, and habits are reinforcing it or weakening it? And when the world pushes against you, do you have a place inside that stays unshaken? You don't need to control the storm. You just need to know where to stand when it comes. And that place? It's already inside you, waiting to be claimed, waiting to be rebuilt, stone by stone, thought by thought. Chapter 7. Final reflection. Control yourself, free yourself. So here we are. You've walked with Marcus. You've looked at your stress. You've questioned your grip. And maybe, just maybe, you've seen that peace was never out there. It was waiting inside you all along. Let's bring it home. Marcus Aurelius didn't promise that letting go would be painless. He never said life would get easier if you stopped trying to control it. He said you'd get stronger. He said that when you stop pouring your energy into things you cannot shape, you begin to shape the one thing that always mattered: yourself, your mind, your habits, your response, your character. That's where freedom lives, not in perfection, not in mastering every detail, but in choosing your posture when things fall apart. So here's your challenge, and it's simple but powerful. Take a deep breath and name 3 things weighing on your shoulders right now. 3 things that have been running in your mind, gnawing at your peace. Got them? Now ask yourself, are these within my control? If yes, act with courage, with discipline, with clarity. If no, release with trust, with intention, with grace. Do this daily, not once, not when things are calm. Make it a practice, a rhythm, a ritual. Because this is what Stoicism is. It's not about shutting off your feelings. It's about training your focus. It's about returning to the present. It's about reclaiming your energy from what drains you. And in doing so, you become something rare, someone grounded, someone resilient, someone free. Not because life gave you control, but because you stopped needing it. You showed up fully and let go wisely. You built your inner citadel. And in that place, no fear can reach you. No chaos can own you. No outcome can define you. You are not your past. You are not their opinion. You are not the weather, the news, or the numbers on your screen. You are what you choose to be in this moment. So choose peace, choose presence, choose power, not over others, but over yourself. Because once you master that, you've already won. Stay light, stay grounded, stay stoic.